Wow, these last couple chapters, man, Oda is just going above and beyond and dropping some bombs. Some major freaking bombs. One Piece, chapter 432, Jack in the Box.
Okay, wait, what? Really? Really? 2 chapters in a row like this?
Holy hell, we are in for a treat, boys and girls. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and expertly woven, wonderfully revealing tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw really the kind of winding down of Enies Lobby and really just sort of that bridge chapter. But the bomb that was dropped at the end of it was that we wound up finding out that Vice Admiral Garp is none other than Monkey D. Luffy's grandpa. And that's how it ended off, with him walking in and busting Luffy in the face and giving him the fist of love, they called it, and Luffy kind of waking up from his catatonic slumber eating party and going, "Grandpa?" So that's where things left off. That's right where things pick up over here, and there is a number of different bombshells dropped in this chapter as well. First and foremost, we wind up finding out, as Garp, who's introduced as Monkey D. Garp, as we wind up finding out some things about him and what happened, Luffy jokes around saying, "Oh yeah, geez, I'm surprised this is my grandpa. You know, I'm surprised." He told everybody to back off because he's like, otherwise he'll kill you. He's like, he almost killed me a bunch of times, and he's like, don't give people the wrong impression. When I threw you down that ravine or left you in that jungle or sent you up in that air balloon, was to make you stronger. So it's funny because you kind of see like Sanji and some of the other crewmates going, okay, well this is where Luffy gets some of his like don't quit attitude, you know. But anyway, he winds up going and he yells and he says, "I wanted you to be a, you know, I raised you and your brother Ace to be, you know, I guess they put him in the care of a friend of his or something like that," he said, and that's the last time he saw him. But he raised them because he wanted them to be, you know, world government men, he wanted them to be Marines, right? And Luffy's like, "But I told you I always wanted to be a pirate." And he's like, "Oh, because of that idiot, that red-haired idiot, you know." So as this is all unfolding, Robin is kind of getting some of the connections too, and seeing that Luffy actually was given his hat by red-haired Shanks. And we find out for the first time, and again, many of you have, this is long past for you, you've known this, but to me, this is a bombshell. We find out that red-haired Shanks is, number one, he's on the same level, considered to be on the same level as Whitebeard, right? I didn't know before what their positioning was amongst the pirates and the hierarchy and everything else. Number two, we find out that he is considered to be one of the 4 emperors. I don't know who the other 2 are. We know him and Whitebeard are obviously the first 2, and I don't know who the other 2 are, but these 4 emperors live on and kind of control things on the second half of the Grand Line. So I'm assuming that's probably after the Red Line. I would assume that would be the halfway point or close to, somewhere around there. So we find that out. We find out that Shanks he's doing well, you know, because Luffy says, "Oh, is he doing well?" He says, "Yeah, I guess, you know." Obviously, they're hunted by the world government, and really the balance of powers is those 4 emperors, of course, which we've alluded to, or they're not alluded to, that we've heard the name before, but it really wasn't explained by anybody, you know, at least not that I knew of. So, and then, of course, you've got the 7 warlords, and then, of course, you've got the world government. And they're all kind of struggling for control and power amongst themselves to kind of keep the balance, I guess, of things, you would say. You know, the government are always going after them. Anyways, so that goes and happens. So now Zorro, remember in the last chapter, he was going and trying to run back and get back to warn Luffy and everybody about the Navy being here, right? So Zorro runs back, and as he runs back and goes to come through the busted wall and come at the 2 guards that were left by Garp, Garp's like, oh, somebody says, "Pirate Hunter Zorro," you know. And he says, "Oh yeah, go ahead and try to stop him," right? So Zorro goes and winds up coming up, clang, you know, with one of the guys. The other one of the guys, Luffy goes and winds up taking out. The guy does the shave technique and disappears. After he blindsides and kicks Luffy, does the shave to try to appear, and Luffy's like, "Oh, that technique." He knows that he's going to reappear behind him. He goes, grabs dude by his throat, you know. Anyway, then we go and we find out after, and then Zorro handily defeats his opponent, and we wind up finding out that this completely different looking character is none other than Coby. Coby from whiny, fucking annoying, if you watched it in the anime, and especially because I watched the dub with my family, Coby, they gave the most just screeching nails on a chalkboard type of voice. It almost kept my family and me from watching One Piece because that first arc, that 4 or 5 episodes, that he was just like, with this voice, oh my god, that pierced right through you. Coby's little punk ass, right, is all grown up now. Now, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if they're going to explain or if we're just going to assume that the few months or whatever Luffy and the crew have been on the Grand Line, because I don't think it's been that long. I mean, even if it's been considered a year or two, Coby is this, like, tall, lean, built dude or whatever, right? I mean, not built, I guess, but you know what I mean? It looks full-grown, you know? Luffy even comments on it. And then we wind up going and seeing his little partner in crime who wears this weird sort of visor thing like that dude Geordi from Star Trek The Next Generation. And it's none other than the Lucky Sperm Club. Anybody who's watched my reviews for a long time remembers Helmeppo from the first arc, Axehand Morgan's son. So anyway, we kind of get the introductions out with that, and I thought that was kind of neat to see them. They had heard that, you know, that Luffy was nearby and just had to go kind of see him and meet up with him. So what a neat way that Oda has of bringing characters full circle, you know. And Coby and Helmeppo, of course, had their cover story, and we know that by the end of it they were being trained by Vice Admiral Garp. But it's something that I kind of just completely forgot about, you know. It's so neat to see things like that, though, or like Django and how he became a Navy man and everything, and him in full body, or it's just all the little things like that, man, just make makes the bigger picture that much more enjoyable and just absolutely wonderful. So then we see that, we get that, right? And so we got everything going on with that. I'm thinking, oh great, you know, a little joyous union between them and Garp and Luffy are so funny because, and you can tell that they all come from the same family, and Ace too with that random sleeping shit. They're in the middle of like fighting and arguing, and they both just pass out and start sleeping. And then Garp wakes up first, and is like, "What the hell are you doing? That's rude and inconsiderate. Falling asleep while I'm yelling at you and arguing with you." So their arguing goes on, and he tells them about some things, and then we wind up getting another bomb dropped on us over here, and we find out about Luffy and Luffy's father, right? And Luffy's like, "I didn't even know I had a dad." And Garp's like, "Of course you have a dad. He's none other than Monkey D. Dragon." And he says, "Your father." That's how it started. It's how it started. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking exasperated. I don't even know how to describe all this. It started with Garp going and saying, "Yeah, I heard you met your father. He saw you off at Logtown, you know?" And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Who do you see him off what? And I'm thinking, what is it, Smoker? Who's his father, right? And it comes out, no, none other than Monkey D. Dragon. We find out the revolutionary, the guy that we wind up seeing briefly that had the cool tattoo on his face that wound up actually saving Luffy from Smoker and what have you, and kind of just, you know, using his power to go and sort of like just blow them away, and then they were able to get onto their ship. And that was 331 chapters ago, you know? So just so neat to see all this stuff come. And again, we knew nothing 2 chapters ago about Luffy's past for the most part, other than they had a brother, Ace. And now we know who his father is, his grandfather. So then we get a fill-in on Monkey D. Dragon, and apparently this dude is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. There's this Revolutionary Army that's pretty much, it started to kind of spread its infection, I guess you would say, so to speak, amongst other nations, and there's many nations that have kind of just, like, defected from the world government. So, you know, this guy he's considered the leader. He's big time, right? And Robin kind of goes and gives the whole breakdown on him and everything else. And then the chapter winds up coming to the end. Right after that, we wind up getting that. And we get, you know, because Robin gives this big explanation about who he is and who he's Dragon, man of mystery. And Luffy had no idea this dude was even his dad, so I don't know what the connection is with that. But then we get and then Garp's like, "Oh, whoops, maybe I said a little more than I should have," right? And then we just get, forget that I said any of that, okay? And they're like, "What?" And then the chapter just ends off. So, I'm like in shock over here. I mean, I want to know, my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is I want to know what your reaction was when you read this chapter. When you read it. Maybe you read it when it came out 5-6 years ago. Maybe you read it just a year ago when you got into One Piece and you were a marathon. I don't care. I just want to know what your thoughts were when you read this chapter, man, because my mind is swirling with 1,000,001 different questions now. Luffy's grandfather is the Vice Admiral of the Navy, Monkey D. Garp, and obviously has a connection, too, because he chased the pirate Gold D. Roger. Shank, excuse me, good, for Christ's sakes, I don't know what that was. Shanks over here we find as one of the 4 emperors on the same level as Whitebeard, and one of the deadliest, most revered, you know, pirates in the sea, and that they control the second half of the Grand Line, right? And Luffy's dad, who he didn't even know was his dad, is Monkey D. Dragon, who's the leader of the goddamn Revolutionary Army, right? That's trying to go in and I'm assuming break apart the world government or overthrow or take it over for whatever. I don't even know what their motivations and stuff are yet. Holy Jesus. Whew. Alright, anyway, let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. I want to know when you read this, what were some of the things, the questions that were going through your head? What were some of the feelings that were coming to you? What were some of the thoughts that you had after reading this chapter? Answer that one for me. Feel free, of course, to, leave a thumbs up. I can't even think. To hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. As always, thanks for watching, and remember to take a look at my other channels as well.